Hey, I'm Chris Zep for Make Everything, and today we're going to bring the Husqvarna 3120 back to life. Check it out. Alright, so a couple of weeks ago, me and Mac were over on a local farm milling a big red oak tree. We put the 60-inch bar on the saw, everything was going great, we got through a couple of slabs, and then the saw seemed to be running kind of hot. It was putting a lot of smoke out of the car, but we were working hard and just wanted to get through this last slab and figured, let's get through this slab and, we'll take it from there. That didn't work out so well.
A little smoky. Did you kill it?
Huh?
So did you kill it or it shut off?
It shut off. It's running fucking hot because the chain is so dull. I wonder if we can get it out.
I think you should start it vertically.
So now fast forward like a week, I'm in the shop and I clean out the carb. I'm trying to start the saw and I am confident that the piston is shot in this. I looked in the muffler. I can see that the piston and the cylinder walls are really scored up. So I went ahead and I ordered a new cylinder head and a new piston. And today we're going to take apart the top end of this saw, put it back together and see if we can't get it running again. All right, so the disassembly of this saw, I'm not going to go too crazy into detail, but basically you have to take off the side cover, you have to take off the muffler, the top cover, and the carburetor to get to the cylinder head and the piston. So you can basically do all of this with a couple of Allen keys and a scrench, which is the chainsaw wrench that looks like a T that you've seen anyone with a chainsaw use. A lot of chainsaws even come with them. But so here I'm just taking off the carburetor and then throwing these long Allen keys in to take the cylinder head and get it loose. And the carburetor on this saw comes right off with like 4 Allen key bolts, and you got to disconnect the fuel line and take out the old spark plug, loosen up these couple of bolts on the front to take the muffler off, and those 2 bolts that I'm putting back in are actually into the oil pan, so if you don't put them in, the oil leaks out. Now I'm just disassembling the old cylinder head and taking the muffler mount bolts off so I can take a look at it. Okay, so check out that cylinder. Now, this is the exhaust side. You can see all those score marks, and the real evidence here is on the piston. So you can see on the piston all those score marks. This is on the exhaust side, so must have been running hot. I don't know what happened. I bought the saw used, so I don't know what kind of condition the piston was in before, but it's okay. Because this right here is going to remedy that. So now it's just a matter of pulling the clips off and getting that old piston off. So that's the difference between an old piston and a new piston. And there's a little arrow etched on this one. This goes to the exhaust side, and there's another one kind of underneath all the carbon buildup there. So basically just got to get this new one installed and we should be good to go. So I threw a little bit of oil on the parts for the new piston and got it on the crank, put the clips back in. This kit was a little bit cheaper. It didn't come with new clips or a new gasket, but everything was fine on this saw, so I was able to reuse everything. And basically just putting the gasket back on, again, a little bit of oil, just try and keep everything sealed up, making sure everything's nice and clean. It's a little tricky to get the piston into the cylinder without without a tool to hold the rings compressed. But basically I was just able to hold it by hand, get it in place, and sort of pulling on the starter cable, you're able to work that cylinder head down onto the bottom end and get everything where it needs to be. And there I'm just adding the decompression button to the side of the cylinder. So now I'm just putting the Allen key bolts back in for the new cylinder head and getting everything tightened up. I'm not really going crazy to like torque anything specifically, just basically getting everything tight. I don't want to break anything, but I want to make sure everything has a good seal. I don't want to lose any compression there. So I tighten everything up with that Allen key, and then I can put some of the rest of the parts back together.
It's reading at over 90 psi when before I was getting about 70 psi.
So I know at least I have better compression than I did before. This is the first time I've ever changed a cylinder on this saw, so I'm not really sure what to expect. And I didn't check the compression when the saw was running good, so I don't really have a good baseline, but I'm just getting the carburetor on now. The carburetor is a little tricky on this saw, but it's not so bad with the cover off. And putting the muffler mount bolts back into the cylinder and getting that muffler on there. The muffler part where it meets the cylinder, the little exhaust port, it was kind of chewed up, so I filed it a little bit. I'll probably wind up making a little gasket for there out of aluminum just to get a better seal. But for now, I really just want to get the saw together and make sure it still works. So tightening up everything, again, just kind of making everything nice and hand tight. Nothing too crazy. Putting the top cover on, fishing through that spark plug wire and the spark plug boot. And again, this is a pretty straightforward process. You don't need a lot of special tools. Basically just Allen keys and a couple screwdrivers. I'm putting the little exhaust screen back on there and the main exhaust output. And then I just put the cover on to protect my hands from the sprocket when I do this test start, but really, I probably could have left it off. And now it's about to gas it up.
Let's put some gas in this thing and try it out. All right, that about does it for this. I'm really happy that the saw is back up and running. I know this wasn't a traditional building video, but it was important for me to get the top end rebuilt, and I thought it would be useful to kind of walk everyone through it. And if you have a problem with this saw or a similar saw, you have some pretty good instructions as to what to do to get it running again. So if you want to see some actual milling and some work with this saw, be sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video if it was good to you, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram @MakeEverythingShop for behind the scenes stuff, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thanks again for watching.